Well, well, well. Today, big news, the leading story across the music scene. The River's Edge is now reaching over 1,000 listeners a day, rivaling ESPN and basically probably beating every other AM channel in Pittsburgh. That's right, shit just got real. I am Brian Crawford. You are listening to the River's Edge Radio Network, the home of local music here in Pittsburgh, found at riversedgepgh.com, TuneIn Radio, and other various sources. If you want to interact with the show, you could do so on Facebook Live or on Twitter at RiverTalkPGH. The ratings are through the roof, the biggest they've ever been. We went from, I'll be honest, 100 to 200 listens a day on the stream. And the way our analytics work here at the River's Edge is most of our viewers/listeners came from the Facebook Live page if you're watching right now. Not so anymore. Now the stream, the 24-hour radio stream, is reaching over 1,000 listeners a day, and that has been consistent for a little bit now, so I think it's safe to say that it's going to continue to trend in that direction, and it's really just an awesome experience to be able to see this station go from a closet in an attic to over 1,000 listeners a day here inside the Mr. Smalls Theater compound, as people have been calling it now.
So if you know someone who does roof repair, have them give us a call.
Yes. So, yes, we definitely need the roof repair here at the River's Edge. I was at Teenage Takeover last night. We were invited down to hang the banner because, you know, when the River's Edge symbol is there, the clout of the event just, again, continues to go through that roof. So we were invited down. It was a great time. And while I'm there, and it's little interesting things that kind of get to you and you realize how far you're growing, or just, it's not even how far you're growing, this is just something cool to see, the impact of the grassroots marketing that we have taken part in here in the River's Edge. That's really been the cornerstone of our growth to this point. So I'm there at Teenage Takeover, and of course we have our sign in the back with our friends from Sound Scene Express. And I am sitting there eating a delicious buffalo chicken sandwich from James Street. That's where it was at, was up in the ballroom. And I look over some guy's shoulder, and he's there on his phone looking up the River's Edge website. So that was kind of fun to experience. But really, you look at old-fashioned radio, and everything is AC/DC, Leonard Skinner. I mean, good stuff, but for God's sakes, how many times in a day can you listen to Sweet Child of Mine? We've got Michael Cohen here, by the way. He's commenting. I was going to bring him in a few minutes, but he's already commenting, so I will.
The answer's a lot. I can listen to it.
You can listen to it a lot. I can only listen to it so many times in one day. So my thing is how many times can you hear the same song, the same lineup, on the hour, every hour, the same songs over and over again? I don't care how good the song is. Eventually, it's beaten to death, and it loses its entertainment value. It's not. I don't know. It's not something I want. It's actually what drove me to talk radio was the fact that old man, old-fashioned, lame, boring radio that plays the same songs over and over and over again every hour on the hour. It drove me to experience and explore new things. So I was in Salon 22 the other day, and as you can see, I got an excellent haircut. Looks great. I was in desperate need. And anytime I go to the hair salon, I go in and I have such thick hair. I've great hair for, a 30-year-old man, no hairline. My genes are as great as my voice. So I'm there in Salon 22. I'm getting my hair cut. And anytime I get a haircut, I literally lose weight. It's a weird sensation as the trimmings continue to occur and the hair falls onto the floor. First off, there's so much hair that's on the floor because even though I don't have long hair that goes down my back, my hair is so thick that when it gets cut, there's so much of it. And it's like a weight is lifted from my head every time I get a haircut. So I'm there, and we're having a good time. First off, they give you a beer so you can drink beer while you're getting your hair cut, which is
Where is this?
right down here in Millville.
Okay.
So I'm there, And we start talking about the River's Edge because at any time I'm involved in any kind of conversation, it always ends up going back to the network in some capacity because it's pretty much all I talk about. So we're there, we're talking about the network, and we're having a good time. And the stylist who's cutting my hair, she says, I'm going to check it out. I'm going to like you on Twitter and Facebook and all this other stuff. And I'm like, all right, thanks. That's cool. And then the other girl who's not cutting my hair, so she's not like angling herself for a tip. She's just joining the conversation. She says, the River's Edge. She goes, I think I've heard of that. My boyfriend listens to that all the time. And, I hear this all the time. People say, oh, yeah, I think I've heard of that. But then, they can't elaborate or, they think they're not sure. And so you're never sure. Well, this girl, she's like, I think my boyfriend listens to this all the time. She goes, I know he does. He says it's his favorite radio station.
That's awesome.
So people say that, and you're like, okay, sure. You're saying that, maybe you think I'm going to come in next time, you're going to get a tip, whatever. Well, no, she continues.
You are so suspicious, Brian.
She continues. She says, I said, oh, yeah. I said, I started it in a closet. She goes, yeah, a closet in your attic. I know. He told me all about it.
That's awesome.
So not only is he listened to the River's Edge, not only is it his favorite radio station, but he's also a fan of this particular program, and he's enchanted by the charisma and the unbelievable talent that you and I, Michael, display each and every Monday. So that is just a fascinating story.
To you, anonymous guy.
Yeah, I was thrilled. I thought it was a great story and a testament to this station and where we are going. Over 1,000 listeners a day. Is this a game changer in the music community? Is this the biggest story coming out of Pittsburgh music today? I think it is. I think it's underreported. So we're going to report the facts right here today. Over 1,000 listens today on the live stream. That's just people tuning in and out throughout the day, listening to the River's Edge. That's higher than most AM stations in Pittsburgh. We are conquering the dial right here at riversedgepgh.com. So we did have some interesting events this weekend. We had the Teenage Takeover, which I went to, which was fantastic. Heard a lot of really great new artists, which was definitely a very exciting and pleasurable experience for me to be able to go out and see some new people. Because, when you become as big of a star in the music scene as I have, Michael, people invite you to stuff all the time, so you don't always get to see new and exciting acts. And there were several acts different bands that I did not know going in to Teenage Takeover, and they were great. I gave some cards out, so we're going to try to get some of them on the network. We also had Zhuge this last week. Zhuge? I can never say that correct.
Zhuge,
Yeah,
yes,
Zhuge.
Is Zhuge.
So,
Like
you're zhuzhing something up,
like
yeah.
you zhuzh a curtain.
like I zhuzhed all the lights in this studio for like an hour and a half before we went on air, for those of you who were watching. So you're
most
welcome.
Certainly did.
Yes. It was very, very
Or
frustrating.
Is
But
this your zhuzh rag?
Yes. So they had a great turnout at Zhuge. It was a great trip there. And you had a big trip as well, Michael. Where did you go?
Yeah. Oh man. So I went to Pottsville.
Trump country.
Yingling is based there, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I went to Pottsville Saturday night. I had seen that a relatively new local comic was getting booked on shows by this group 502 Comedy, and I was like, oh, maybe they're relatively easy access, And so I just cold called them and was like, yo, what's up? Like, can I get on something? Sent them a video, and they were like, yeah, sure. Like, come on down. We can't pay you the first time, but let us check you out. And then I look up where the show is. Pottsville is 4 hours away.
Yeah.
Right? And so I'm like, oh my God, like, do I flake and pull out? But also that's halfway to the coast. So if I'm going to tour, in 2019, which is my 4-year plan, then I'm going to want this. I should just sack up and go do it basically. And I wind up carpooling with this other fabulous comic, Simon Cho, who I didn't know before this, but he is a delightful dude. We talked about hunting wild mushrooms out in the woods and food service in Pittsburgh the whole way. And yeah, I get out there, and these guys have got it going on. Mike Caswell, the promoter, has booked every seat in a bar attached to a bowling alley, which, get this, at $10 a head standing at the bar and $20 sitting with an appetizer. Out in the middle of, I don't want to say Pottsville's out in the middle of nowhere. That sounds really rude, but out in the middle of fucking
Basically,
nowhere.
what Michael's saying is he drove there, he wore his red Make America Great
Oh my God.
cap, and went out to support his man.
Yeah, and it was fantastic. The crowd was warm. The host in particular, Will Carey, was fantastic. Like, the crowd was warm, but they were also fickle, and he would come out and get them worked up, and he did such a good job. I would check. I really want to get out to see some of his actual like written material.
Yeah.
Sometime would be exciting. But yeah,
Sounds great.
so we drove all the way there and then got done and drove all the way back. I spent 8 hours in a car with
That's
a
awful.
total stranger I had never met before. And
Well,
it
did you
was
become good friends
delightful
throughout it?
Oh yeah, we're
good.
absolutely going to be carpooling to more shows out there. Yeah,
Wonderful.
it's great.
So lots of good stuff this weekend. We have we're going to be talking with Zach Sierocki here in just a minute. He is a great Pittsburgh artist and somebody who I met actually at a big, I guess you would call it like a music art collaboration type of festival, which was fun. It was at the Abbey Arts Fest. So we're going to talk to him in a minute. Also, we have Crow Moses later in today's program. They will be performing at the Brew Fest here in Millville, and they also have some other things on their calendar as well, so that's going to be exciting to talk to them. They are a band that was one of the first bands on the network, one of the earlier bands, really great guys, and that was back in the stage when we were very new as a network, and I got really excited when my banner was hung at different places, and that was the only time that the River's Edge banner hung at the Thunderbird Cafe was during one of their shows before it went under reconstruction. So we're going to have Crow Moses in as well, and we've got the weird news, 3 weird stories to keep the Mon Monster at bay, where we are going to talk about killer clowns, men's sperm, and a weird, funky funeral that took place here in town. That's all coming up. But right now we've got Zach Sierocki, and he is right here. Let's see if we can pull him up on the camera. Oh, there we go. We got him. All right, Zach, how are you today?
Doing well. You guys are looking beautiful. Like the haircut, I think does
It's great, right? You know, and to be
this person.
get a haircut, by somebody who's a supporter of the network, a business that loves the River's Edge. You can't.
You gotta remember her name so you can give her a shout out, so that next time you don't have to tip her so much. Just like, I give you a shout out on the radio.
I don't mind tipping, especially if someone's really into the network. We got both. You're on the screen as well. So Zach, I met you at the Abbey Arts Fest. That was kind of a cool event.
Yeah, that was fun. I was doing a couple live paintings there. I painted the city in a daytime aspect and then like a nighttime aspect. One in daytime and one in the nighttime. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I was actually relying on the.
So that was an actual competition too?
No, it was just for fun.
Oh, you
Sometimes-
said. I thought you said it won. Did you say that the piece?
He did one.
I did.
Oh, you did one. Oh, I thought
Yeah.
you said it won, like it
No,
won a competition.
no,
I was
no.
going to say, I was at RB.
That is
Abbey
also
Arts
what I
Fest.
thought you said.
Yeah, I did not know that there was a
competing
competition.
against myself, I guess.
There you go. So you beat yourself?
I think the first one won, yeah, because I actually had daylight to go by. Whenever the night came, I was relying on a street light that was like coming on and then going off for a couple minutes at a time.
I know that street light.
Yeah, I was actually painting like in the dark for some bit of it, and I just wanted to go home so bad because like I was there for 8 hours.
Yeah, that's right by my house.
It was a good event. Shout out to Red Fishbowl for putting that together and the Abbey for letting us do that. It was great.
Speaking of which, Rhythm and Brews, I will be there. The River's Edge is a sponsor here, and that's going to be a great time. It's August 26th, and they are putting that together as well. So stay tuned to the River's Edge for more details on that as it comes out. So are you going to be at this? I saw you pointing at it.
I will be there, yeah. I
will be
think I'm
there,
going to
yeah.
do some live painting there. Not sure what I'm going to do yet, but probably something to do with brews,
Yeah. You are a fan of Rivertown. I know they're one of the big names on here. You're not a fan of Rivertown?
Just the beer. I haven't had a good Rivertown beer yet. I've tried a couple of them.
Well, you'll go to Rivertown.
But I'll be there.
I like
maybe,
Rivertown.
maybe I might change my mind
There you go.
after this event because I've only tried a couple of them.
Only tried a couple. So tell me about your art, and you're not from, you don't live in the city. Now you're
I used to.
Okay, you used to. So what made you move to the middle of Westmoreland County? Because you're
Right.
living all the way out. Is it Ligonier or Latrobe somewhere?
Ligonier, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
okay.
I love Ligonier. Ligonier is great, but I do miss the city. I used to live in Mount Washington. So growing up in the city, tons of stuff to do. And then my pap passed away, and we inherited his house in Ligonier, and there's like nobody there. Like it's just like you said, the middle of nowhere.
Except for Ligonier days.
Pottsville is probably pretty happening compared to Ligonier. Yeah, Ligonier days.
When
is
Ligonier
like-
days, they probably have more people than Mount Washington.
Right. Yeah. No. The streets are packed, and like the bars are packed. It's a great event, but whenever you move from a city to like small town, you're sort of like this. This sucks. I don't know how to adjust and stuff. And I remember the first day of school, I was like talking to kids about Dave Chappelle. Never heard of him.
What?
Right. And they were like,
Wow.
"No, Larry the Cable Guy."
Wait, so how old were you when you moved there? Help me understand.
I was like 14,
How old are you now?
25.
Okay, gotcha.
So we would talk about comedy and stuff. And you say you're a comedian?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So I'm sure you love Dave Chappelle. And I could not stand Larry the Cable Guy.
No, he's terrible.
And that was the hot thing at that time in my school.
That's brutal.
And I remember my teacher circled the answers that I did wrong, and he said that I could redo them on this quiz. And on top he wrote "Get her done."
Oh God.
And that's when I knew I don't really fit in here. So I do miss the city, but I'm out here pretty often, and man, there's nothing like driving back to Ligonier though. There's just this, like you drive through the hollow, which is just trees, and it's beautiful, but the city aspect too. I mean, I get the best of both worlds when I come in.
I will say that's the big difference between Ligonier and North Huntington. I grew up in North Irwin, which is in the North Huntington area, and it's more like a suburb of Pittsburgh almost, even though it's in Westmoreland County. But yeah, we all knew who, it was kind of like a mixture. You've got people who liked the Cable Guy, but then you also had people who liked, Dave Chappelle. So you kind of had a little bit of both there. But I don't understand how you come to how you come to the city, how you come to Pittsburgh as much as you do, because I know when I lived out in North Irwin, it was like a wall at the tunnels. Like nobody came to the city. Like I could count on, both hands the number of times I went to the city because it was just such a pain in the ass.
Right.
So, is that challenging for you? Are you as aggravated with tunnel traffic as I was?
I love tunnel traffic. I think it's like the most beautiful thing of Pittsburgh.
So what are you smoking?
I was just kidding. I absolutely hate it. The whole drive, it's about an hour for me. And
Without traffic?
Without. That's why I was late this morning coming here. But yeah, just traffic sucks, and I don't miss that at all. So yeah, the tunnel's probably the worst thing. We need to do something about that. Like,
I think we should
Close them. I say close all of them.
Well, okay. For a time, I would like to bulldoze that entire hillside and put like a huge highway right through there.
You're right. We should just knock out the mountain. Why didn't we think of that before?
They've done it before.
Yeah,
Other
there's
places have done it.
There's probably.
Walmart does it every suburb it goes into.
Tell Massey there's coal under it. They'll get rid of it for you.
That's right. So I think we need to destroy the tunnel, and people complain about there's people who live there. That's what we have eminent domain for. Move their asses, bulldoze the hill, create the ultimate freeway, going out to the eastern suburbs. I think that would be great.
Yeah, that'd be good.
So tell us about your art, Zach.
Okay.
You're kind of. You have some very interesting art pieces. I know you have one with you that you just made. You gave me this awesome print as well, which I can show people here. If you're looking, if you're listening, it's really cool. It's got a lot of different shapes in it, and it's almost. How would you describe this piece?
Yeah, I don't know. It's actually 3 paintings mixed into one, and it's sort of like a scene from another planet, like a.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, I kind of thought that same thing.
And from 2015, I've been doing series of planets and just different weird planets. There's thousands of stars and millions of galaxies and never-ending slew of just new creations. And I like to think that maybe some of these could be out there. So I do a lot of just weird space scenes, but I do a lot of other stuff like pop art, African art. I've been in a few African showcases. I just appreciate all sorts of different things. So I do a lot of abstract, kids stuff, some murals, just all over the place. I have ADD a little bit, so I can't stick to one project before I get sick of it, and then I move on to something completely different. So.
Yeah, that's kind of how this show is. We just kind of jump all over the place. But, it makes it fun, right? It makes it more exciting.
That's the creative person.
So
think.
why did you get into planets? Because are you interested in like sci-fi or?
Oh yeah, at the time I was completely obsessed with space and just documentary after documentary, book after book, and just like Google imaging pictures of space and space scenes, planets, and I think one day I just threw out like 30 different fake planets, and then I remembered when I was in like first grade or something, I would draw these little planets and I would name them, and so I went back into like my old coloring books from like first grade and I remembered the names, and they were like, you know, Planet Pizza and Planet X, Planet Z, like just, you
Sounds
know.
like something from like, I don't know, like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like I could see like, you know, you've got Dimension X. I could see like Planet Pizza being a planet in Dimension X.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That would be pretty sick.
I think they should do the next Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie where they're searching for Planet Pizza.
That would be
Yeah.
great.
Astronauts in space.
You would never get that with the new Turtles, though. I mean, the new Turtles kind of aren't nearly as much fun. You know, like the old Turtles in the '80s, you had the Technodrome, and you had like the really like cheesy dialogue that was like cool. Like that's one thing. Like the Shredder back then was more of like an idiot, but his vocabulary was much better, which was great. And I don't know, it was
The Mikey raps scene in the CGI movie is in the elevator is fantastic.
It is. I think I've seen that. Yeah, that is pretty good. But it still doesn't have that. You know, it's like more serious. The Turtles now, like
Yeah.
it's versus like the '80s. It was not serious at all. I mean, the original comics are more serious, so it is more like the original comics. But sometimes I kind of like that old. I don't know, like that old '80s.
Kitsch.
Yeah.
It's more like the original Batman series where it doesn't take itself seriously.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, we would never have. There's not even, I don't think, a Generation X in the new. Or not Generation X, whatever it is, the
Dimension
X.
X.
Yeah, I don't
yeah,
even
yeah.
think they even have that in the new ones. Do they? Am I wrong?
Not in not in the one that I saw. I don't know how many there have been at this point.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but yeah, it's, I don't know, kind of disappointing.
They can go looking for
Maybe.
Planet Z though. I'll tell you this: no one from New York is ever going to go looking for anything pizza. We
You're inundated.
you stay in,
You are
if you
in
love
Planet
pizza, you just stay in New York. Pizza and bagels.
Well, that's one thing.
Don't
Like,
leave.
what's the pizza scene like in Ligonier?
Oh, jeez.
Is it good? Because I know, like, where I grew up, like, the pizza scene was so strong, like, places like Domino's couldn't cut it. They would, like, close all the time, like, these big chains, because they couldn't match up to, like, the local might of
Right.
the independent mom-and-pop pizza shop.
Well, that's actually a funny question. Like, there's no chains in Ligonier. It's like
See?
it's banned. Like, you can't open a McDonald's and you can't have,
Interesting.
you know, like a Walmart. Like, there will never. I don't think there ever will be. We have a Subway, which is like the closest thing, but that's like family owned, so there's a little leeway there. But Fox's Pizza sort of owns the market there. Kelly's Pizza is really good. And hopefully they'll sponsor me, man. Kelly's Pizza and Jersey
There you go.
at the bottom of town. Great pizza, but
Now
I'm a fan of like just the make-it-yourself pizza.
Now the chain ban. I grew up in a town in Connecticut that was a little similar. Yeah, all we had was a Subway and a Dunkin' Donuts. These like two very kind of small. And I guess what do you know like what motivation that comes out of? And I don't mean like it's obvious, but I guess like is that a conservative county or is it like
Westmoreland County?
well or the county or the town? I guess if the town gets to regulate that kind. I guess I'm just saying
Well,
like
Westmoreland County itself is one of, like, the most conservative counties in Pennsylvania.
so it's like interesting that they have this like. Is that still good to go?
You're good, yeah.
And so it's interesting that they have this kind of like, almost like anti-corporate.
It's not that interesting if you think about it, because, like, if you look at, I would say, like, politically, if you look at, like, conservatives on a local level, they're not, like, huge corporate people. They tend to be more, you know, a lot, I shouldn't say more, but a lot of times they're very family-oriented, community-oriented people, and they're trying to,
Right.
that's where you get a weird dichotomy in the conservative movement, because you've got people who are like, oh, you know, like pro-business, you know, whatever, corporations, but then you've got like other people, which you can hear when you hear the campaign messaging, they're all about like, you know, small businesses and things like that. There's that huge, like the small business push actually comes from the right as much as the you know, corporate tax breaks. So it's
yeah, I mean,
really
economically it comes entirely from the left, but certainly rhetorically it comes from the right as well.
yeah. Well, rhetorically is yeah, that's more what I'm saying is well, even, let's be honest, nobody is supporting small businesses. No, the left
Fair.
is not either. The left just has their own groupies of large mega corporations as well.
I'm a
So-
huge supporter of small businesses, though.
Oh,
And-
yeah.
and that's exactly where that idea comes from. It's well, first of all, they want to preserve the town as it has always been. So like the same coffee shop has always been there, and the same bank will always everything on like the circle, the diamond has been there for a long time. But whenever if you bring in a McDonald's, you're chasing those people out. And but no, like if you drive outside of Ligonier, like it's not a county, it's just the town that does this. So you drive outside of Ligonier, you're automatically met with Sheetz, Starbucks, and Walmart, Lowe's, just like all that. So really, I'm like 10 minutes away from all that stuff, but I'm a huge supporter of like the local.
Does that influence your art at all, being out in that culture where it's very locally driven?
I'd say most of my support comes from Pittsburgh, so not necessarily.
no.
I just support that, and like they do know me as like the local art guy. So they are whenever I come in with like $1 to try and buy a coffee, they're like, yeah, that's okay. I'm like $2 short. They're okay because they know.
So do you make most of your money off of art, or are you holding down a day job? You don't need to tell us where.
Oh,
it
of
is.
course. Yeah, I have a really nice job, and I get to work with kids, and it's just part time, but it gives me the time to do this.
Yeah,
Before I was working 20-hour days, working 4 different jobs before I had this job. So I know the struggle of just working so much and then not having the time to do your craft. But I always tell people like, do work for somebody else, and then come home and just spend like a half hour at least, like working on your craft.
Mm-hmm.
Because what's the point of just working for somebody else?
Yeah, some people they just live their life that way. Like I know it's really sad to me. I know people who I work with who they're like in their mid or early 20s. They don't have any kids, and they're perfectly content to just do this job that requires absolutely no skill set, requires no brain power or function or higher level thinking or even mid-level thinking at all, and they're perfectly content to just live their life that way. And it always has been sad to me, because I'm thinking like, you get somebody who has kids, they're supporting their family, things like that. That's something that's important. But like some of these people, it's like, really, this is it for you? Just
Yeah, well, and then they wonder why like depression skyrockets in industrialized countries. And yeah, it's because life becomes weirdly meaningless. I mean, that's why I got that. Well, that's not the only reason I got. But that's one of the reasons why I got into comedy, and certainly why I've tried to make stand-up and improv part of my social scene, is because like after hanging out with activists throughout my whole 20s, I decided I didn't want to be around political zealots anymore because they have their own problems. But then trying to make friends in like food service and stuff was difficult because everyone just seems like they're really turned down to 6 or whatever, like you're like, so what'd you do over the weekend, and like, oh, like watch Netflix and like smoked some weed, and you're like, and and like, I don't know what'd you do, and like took a fucking 9-hour road trip to Pottsville and did stand up, and then like went and played in a waterfall somewhere the next, like I'm like trying to.
Yeah, so you have a crappy job like I do, but you use your time to seek out other ventures.
I'm a wingnut. Like I'm going hard all the time,
You got to believe in yourself. I think that's like the biggest thing is, you got to believe that you can do more, and like it doesn't happen overnight, but just, make the steps, like just go for it.
Yeah. So Zach, what else do you have coming up? Anything in Pittsburgh that people can check you out at, or do you have
I'm at Extaza nightclub with a bunch of different artists, bunch of different musicians. There's like some fashion people. There's a runway and stuff. That's August 10th from 7 to 11 p.m. And that's like a really big event. The place gets packed, and there's a lot of weird stuff that happens there. I've seen some pretty crazy stuff happen. So that'll be my 3rd time there. I think on the 17th, I'm at Spaces, which is connected to Google on Penn Ave. It's like catered food, just like stop in and come hang out. We're on the 2nd floor. I think that's like from 5 to 8 o'clock. And of course at the Rhythm and Brews event. And then I'm in Brooklyn on September 16th, and I think like some other the Comic-Con in Erie, so I got a lot of stuff coming up. But the main thing is trying to get people to vote for me I was nominated for Best Pittsburgh
That's right.
Visual Artist
Whoa.
of 2017. So that's
Now, did you like whore yourself out for votes?
I living in
Define
a small,
horror.
Yeah, of course. I didn't take my clothes off. But,
Okay.
but I did ask people, of course, put it on the social media as one would.
But you didn't seem desperate to me. Like
I
a lot of
didn't
these people,
expect-
so like the Millville Music Festival was also nominated for Best Music Festival in the city in our first inaugural year, despite not asking for a single vote.
That's awesome.
And just putting that out there, we did good. But it was great.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is like you didn't go out there. Like I see so many people, and it almost comes across as like pathetic to me, where they're like, please vote for me, please. They're like paying for ads for the city paper to get people to vote for them, and these competitions, and I'm thinking like, aren't you kind of like not to just like randomly ask people like you did it in a normal way. I know like somebody posted something on the Millville Music Festival page about it, and one of the committee members about voting for us, but I feel like some of these people they almost devalue their brand.
Yeah, like I gave hand jobs to 3 dudes at the Wood Street
That's what
bus
I mean,
station
yeah.
downtown, and none of them even nominated me.
Yeah,
They
so
probably didn't have phones.
Yeah, probably not.
so you were in the wrong spot.
They seem solidly
You gotta get a
homeless,
guy with
yeah.
a phone.
You should have been outside of Bakery Square doing that shit. And then you would have, they had like 3 phones with 3 different accounts. They could have really.
Catch me after the Mr. Smalls open mic tonight, out in front of Bakery Square, giving hand jobs for nominations.
That's right. Well, the nominations are closed. Maybe
I'll just be there doing it. Who am I kidding? It's what I love. It's what I
I'll
love.
be there. That'll be fun.
No, I'm excited though. I hope you win. I did vote for you, so
Thanks,
and then
Brian.
I know you could vote every day. So, but yeah, I think you've got a hard task against you because you've got Baron Batch. I know is in the nomination, and
Yes.
he's a Steeler, so people will just be like,
Right. Yeah.
But
there
I
are
think
some really talented artists, and like a lot of them are good friends of mine. So if I wasn't in this, I would vote for some of those
Vote for them.
people.
Can I lay down some shade for a minute, though?
Yeah.
All right. Baron Batch did a collaboration piece with one of the cops from the graffiti task force. That's some bitch ass shit, dude. That's so fucking whack. I'm sorry. Like,
all right, that's cool, but vote for Zach Sierocki.
yes, absolutely. I vote for Zach.
Vote Zach. Vote Millville Music Festival. So
No, there's a lot of great talent on that ballot, but I just love the fact that I was nominated.
Yeah, that's
because
great.
I didn't really expect it, and it's an honor. Totally vote for me because I'm sort of the underdog if you look at those guys.
definitely. It'll be. I think you're well deserving. So I know I'll be voting for you as much as I can. I don't know if anyone I voted for actually got any votes though, because the city papers thing they keep sending me links. You need to verify. And I verified
I don't know.
30 times, and they keep sending me links.
Are you
so-
doing any collaboration pieces with the officer that arrested you and your friends?
No.
No?
I am
Okay.
doing a couple collabs with a couple other local artists.
Nice,
I'm very
perfect.
excited about, yeah. No
Very
cops,
cool.
though. I don't think I'd ever go that low.
Well-
I don't think.
Well, that's Zach Sierocki. Where can people find you? Where can they find your art?
Oh, of course. I don't know. Can you post a couple links on your page?
Yeah, we can do that.
Definitely there. ZachSierockiArt.com. My last name is Sierocki. Facebook, just Zach Sierocki Art. Instagram, Sierocka Flock of Flame. You're not going to remember that.
You might want to put that in the comments here in
Yeah,
the video.
exactly. You're
so-
not gonna. No, don't be driving and trying to figure out how to type Sierocka Flag of Flame. It's
However, make sure you're listening to TuneIn Radio while you drive. So
yeah.
to the River's Edge. So
Beautiful as always, Brian. Thank you for all that you
right.
do for the city of Pittsburgh and myself, man. I can't appreciate it anymore.
Zach Sierocki, I'm Brian Crawford. Just around the bend, we have Crow Moses in studio, but right now we've got the weird news. Let's play that music. All right, we are Pittsburgh's #1 weapon, the River's Edge Radio Network. I'm Brian Crawford here with Michael Cohen. We've got 3 weird stories to keep the Mon Monster at bay, where we will single-handedly save all of Pittsburgh from total destruction with 3 weird stories. As you know, the monster is a menace to society, but for some reason it is oddly excited and interested in weird news. So, story number 1. There is a one-armed clown. Now, I know, horror clown stories, it's kind of old news, but this one is kind of exciting, so I decided to bring it back. There is a one-armed clown that is wielding a machete that it has attached to its arm that is terrorizing a small town. So I don't know. I just think that's fascinating. I wish this clown I want to see with the machete arm racing through a town. I can see that happening in like Ligonier.
I just want to know how we got here. Like, for years, clowns have been this like stigmatized horror thing, but other than like one notable serial killer, I feel like this whole actual evil clown thing just popped in the last couple of years. It's just one of these like things that we manifested, that like like just produced as a society almost intentionally. That's so weird.
It's really weird, and I feel bad because actual clowns, like there was a story I talked about a few months ago, actual clowns are having a hard time getting work now because of these crazy killer clowns that are out there. So, actually, there was a thing, what was it? They were doing, over in Europe, one of the countries in Europe, where they were using clowns to help assimilate Muslim immigrants.
Well,
I want to know how they do this because it sounds fascinating.
Europe has a very different culture with clowns than the U.S., actually. There was a study put out in the early 2000s by an academic named David Graeber, who does a lot of anthropology stuff. And he showed, because in Europe, the protesters at these giant demonstrations will sometimes dress in like a clown block, because the population really likes clowns. And so it looks bad when the police then attack them.
Okay.
But they found in surveys in the U.S. and showing people pictures that it actually backfires in the U.S. because people in the U.S. think it's hilarious to watch a clown get beat up by a police officer.
Really? That's awful. I feel bad for the clowns. So what do you have for us?
So, I mean, you know how I feel about industrial high-tech society. I think it's an aberration to human freedom. And apparently it might be working itself out, because in Western societies, male sperm counts have dropped 52% in the last 40 years. It's about 1.5% a year, and it's steady. It is steady. And I think it's from a combination of both like pollutants in the air and water and food, and like off-gassing from various products we have, like fire retardants. And then they also just think it's from stress and depression, which also independently skyrocket in industrialized countries. So, I don't know, guys. We might be working ourselves out.
You know what, though? I'd rather live in an industrialized society where we have deodorant and proper cleaning supplies. So, I don't know. It might be a fair trade-off.
The end of Western civilization in exchange for deodorant.
Yeah, because I wouldn't want to live in the West without deodorant. I'll be quite honest. All right, so the third story, because I want to roll through this because we've got Crow Moses outside waiting to come in, so that's going to be exciting. But the third story, as many of you know if you've been watching the Facebook, I was at a funeral recently, and it was a funeral for Milva of the Millville Studios. She was a mannequin at Millville Studios, and it was an awesome event. We had live band performances at the funeral. I mean, it was probably the coolest funeral I ever went to.
I had work. I was so bummed.
Yeah, they had all sorts of different mannequins. You can actually see, if you're listening to the video, there was an actual casket. If you're watching the video, you'll see it. Otherwise, I'll describe it. Where it was an actual casket, a very nice casket inside Hahn Funeral Home, and the mannequin was in the casket for people to come up and view and pay their respects. The live band performed in the other room. There was free beer from Vicini's, all sorts of great stuff. It was really, really an awesome experience. It was the first time I've ever filmed a funeral, and for many of the artists, it was the first time that they had actually performed in a funeral home. And we liked it so much, we're considering making it a venue for this year's Millville Music Festival.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
So, yeah, be fantastic. So that is your weird news. Up next, we do have Crow Moses. They're going to be in here to talk about a few events they have coming up, including performing at the Millvale Brew Fest. So we're going to get them in the studio right up next, right around the bend here on Pittsburgh's Voice for Local Music, The River's Edge. All right, you just heard. Ooh, Michael, you are disappearing now. The lighting has changed.
That was happening earlier too.
Yeah, he is like an apparition. He's in and out. You're like phased. I feel like we're in a Star Trek episode, whenever somebody gets like phased through, I don't know, some sort of trans warp malfunction. We need data here right now there we go. That's even better.
It's even better.
So, yeah, that's our biggest opportunity is our lighting. But I am Brian Crawford. You're listening to the Rivers Edge Radio Network. You just... wow, Michael, only your head is in the camera. For those of you who are watching, for those of you who are listening at home, Michael looks like some sort of aberration who's gone through some sort of very bizarre and
Because of the green screen.
I would say an unusual Star Trek accident, but Star Trek seems to repeat the same accidents over and over, so it's probably a very common Star Trek disaster. But Michael is experiencing that. He is he's kind of trans-phased in between two dimensions here on the River's Edge. Do you think this could be some sort of attack from the Mon Monster? Maybe he was upset with our weird news stories being rushed this week and not in us not taking our time.
They were insufficient.
So I don't know. I thought the Milva funeral story was pretty good.
It was fantastic, but we're being subjected to minor mischief now.
Yeah.
Minor mischief from the Mon Monster.
So you're here on the Rivers Edge Radio Network. The song you heard before we came in was Horse-Faced Lynn, and the reason why we played that is because, well, not only is it awesome, but we also have Crow Moses here in studio with TJ and Clarence. Hello, guys. How are you guys doing today?
Hey, how you
Welcome
doing,
to
man?
the studio. So it's your first time in the new space.
It is.
So, yeah.
First time.
Yeah, man,
So-
it's great. Looking good.
Yeah.
You guys...
It's a lot cooler than last time we came and did this. I remember we were in that little hot box room.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's both cooler in the look and it's cooler in the actual temperature.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you guys were one of the early bands with the River's Edge, and
Oh, yeah?
this is back. You guys are one of the first bands where we went to your guys' show and we were able to put up the banner
yeah,
and
for our
everything.
release. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And that was back
the-
in like the early stages, which honestly, even just like before we moved here, like it wasn't even that long ago. I remember when we had our banner hung at the main stage at Mr. Smalls, and I was still like taking pictures, like, hey, we got our banner up in the main stage. But you guys, when I remember like the Thunderbird, it's such an iconic venue. When
Yeah,
we were there, and I had my banner there, and I was
Yeah.
like a kid taking my picture of the banner. I'm here in the Thunderbird.
No, it was cool though.
No,
That
it's
was
cool for
I
us
still-
too to
I
have
s-
somebody want to hang a banner on our
Oh, it was
Yeah.
great.
Put their name behind that.
no, it was cool. That was actually the record release for Tamarain. That was
Yes.
that was our first EP, our second release, but it was our first EP. That's a record that Horse-Faced Lynn is off of.
Yeah, and that was, I believe so. Yeah, and that was a packed crowd. For
Yeah,
that
we had a
event.
good.
Yeah, it was-
a
it was
lot of
great.
people came out that night. It was cool. I think the Red Western opened. I don't know
Okay.
if you guys know that.
Yeah,
you guys
yeah,
know
they're-
that band. Yeah, that.
mhm.
So I think the Red Western opened that night for that release. Yeah, that was a good time.
Yeah. I like Thunderbird.
Yeah, right.
I miss it.
The T-Bird's
That's like
gone.
my home.
Well, it's
That's-
coming back.
Yeah.
It's
coming
not
back.
gone forever. Yeah.
No,
Right.
it's just,
So, luckily.
it's just one of those things. It's like
I'm
I don't know,
hoping
I'm
they're.
an old guy, so like when things change, you're just like, I hope it's cool.
I know,
still-
that's-
I still hope the feel is still there.
That's
like,
kind of
you
what I
know,
was thinking too, because I liked the feel of the old Thunderbird,
Yeah.
and it was kind of, I don't know. To me, like as much as there's awesome new places opening up in Lawrenceville, to me it's those older
Forget
places
about
that
it,
are
yeah.
really special,
look,
like the Thunderbird.
Here's the deal. Yeah, here's a big deal. It's one thing to have a business or something in a place that's already like bumping. But the Thunderbird was a cool spot in Lawrenceville when Lawrenceville wasn't anything like it is now. So a lot of people, if you came to Pittsburgh within the last even 10 years, a little before that, the T-Bird was like one of the only, not one of the only spots, but it was this cool place. They didn't really book a lot of cover stuff. They kept it original, and they brought some cool acts through Pittsburgh or Lawrenceville. And that's the kind of places like that can get forgotten pretty easy now that you see it, and it's all.
Well, it's one of those
It's
places-
a different area now than it was
When I
years
leave
ago.
Pittsburgh, and guys that I respect that play, they're like, "Oh, you played the Thunderbird?" Like they know that spot. Like so, when they come through town, they'll hit the jam session there on Wednesday or Tuesday or whatever night they have it, and that's what you hope. Like when the place closes down for as long as it did, to renovate it or whatever, hopefully make it better. it's just like, you hope it doesn't lose that mystique because people are like, oh, it's closed or like it's, whatever. So you hope that, and number one and two, like the room, I hope the room still has a feel that
Yeah.
it
I'm sure it'll
felt
be
good
great.
in
I'm
it
sure it'll
just
be great.
felt really
John
good,
John doesn't mess around. He's a good dude. He's kind of a dude when people talk about people who are important to Pittsburgh music. I don't know that John gets mentioned a lot, but
No, he
people
should.
like that who are not behind the scenes, but they're maybe not on stage all the time or whatever, but actually put these venues in that don't book a lot of cover acts and actually with
He
the
helped a lot of
music
musicians
business
eat,
shrinking,
man.
with the music business overall kind of shrinking, I think it's really important that towns still have clubs that hold like 150 people, not only for local shows, but there's a lot of bands that are touring that
Oh, yeah.
they don't
They don't
have
have
the
that.
they don't have the marketing or the exposure that they used to when the industry was probably maybe bigger. So I think it's really important that your city have one or two venues of that size, because if you don't have venues that are that small, then a lot of touring bands that are just kind of getting going, they can't really find a place in your city. Kevin over at Northside is really, since the T-Bird closed down, James Street has really taken that role up, and like it's super cool what those guys are into. They have those two spots, the upstairs and downstairs, both great spots in their own regards. Super cool places to see a show. Plus, Northside is not. It's not blown up or whatever yet, like you could park there and stuff. Like
Yeah.
we love playing shows there. It's just like a chilled out place to have a show. And the people care about music. They're not just trying to make money from music and not putting anything into it. They've put a lot of money into their sound updates. They just got some new lighting in the upstairs at James
Yeah,
Street.
it's really nice.
It's so nice.
Super great.
And
So
you
sick.
and you have to think you're lucky to be in a town where people are putting that much back into music. There's not a lot of clubs you're going to see that hold around 200 people that are going to have lights like that,
Yeah.
that competent sound people. A lot of times to get that experience at a concert, you got to be in a venue that holds 1,500 or something like that, because now it's a bigger thing and there's more money. But what those dudes do on that scale, not only is it a great thing for Pittsburgh and for other bands that come to Pittsburgh, but it shows that they really care about it.
Well, I mean, it helps everybody out. I mean, because it makes, when you have a venue, you got to think about the fan experience or just the person off the street that's like, hey, it's Friday, let's go do something. So when you have two venues and a restaurant in that kind of building, and everything is quality from the food to he
the
books
food's
quality
great.
acts, so no matter what night you go in there, you're gonna have a good time, and that helps bands like us and every small band out there, because when you go there, you actually get to play to new people that become fans of yours. So it spreads out,
Right.
and it's important, like he was saying, to have those mid-sized to small venues around, and because not everybody's gonna pack out.
And it probably helps,
500.
especially with a group like you guys, because you do everything in house. You don't,
Oh, yeah.
you don't have
Oh,
somebody
yeah.
out there booking for you
Right,
and
To
things
be
like
able to-
that. You're
be able to hit up Kevin and be like, "Hey, man, we got a record coming
Right.
out."
See, that's another thing. These-
it's
These venues, and the T-Bird kind of always went back and forth on this, but these venues don't exclusively deal with one promoter, and they will deal with local people because a lot of times what it was before is if it was a venue that dealt with one promoter and that promoter wasn't working with you for whatever reason, you couldn't play there.
yeah.
But a lot of these guys now, they do work with local guys, but the local guys have gotten a lot more serious over the past 5 or 10 years.
Do you
'Cause
think
it-
that's why the music scene is taking off in Pittsburgh and becoming a bigger thing because people are taking
Yeah,
it seriously?
Well,
or?
I think that people used to get record deals, and so they would get out of town because the record deal would take them somewhere else, or at least take them on the road. And I don't think that doesn't really happen anymore. So I think you're seeing, not only is it people not being able to leave and not being able to expand as far, but musicians, just like you guys here in the studio, are able to do a lot more stuff themselves
Right.
for relatively cheap compared to what it used to cost to do
Mhm.
things.
Yeah.
No, we don't advocate like recording in your bedroom or something, because we don't do that. We
yeah. You guys, your stuff that you
Yeah.
put out is
Hey, you
fantastic.
do what you have to do. I mean,
Right.
At the beginning, I mean, we did it. I mean, everybody does. But
Uh-huh.
when you, at a certain point, like with anything, when you get serious, it's time to get serious. So
Right.
we need to upgrade. Like you were talking about earlier before you got on mic about upgrading the equipment in the studio and stuff like that. It's because you're serious. It's time to make this like a job. This is your existence now. And you're with technology, being able to make that jump and being able to put things out, like you were talking about with the internet. Now we can reach so many more people. We don't have to jump through the hoops of having a label and basically sitting down in boardrooms and brokering out deals to get your music out there. You just put it out there now. And if it's good, the cream always rises to the top. And you always just have to just keep putting it out there. Just content, put it out. But it's the scene now in Pittsburgh, people were definitely striving towards that. Like I just saw, Jeremy Kaywood over there. He's always around. That
Yeah.
guy, like, smells music in the air. It's great. But it's like you have guys like that are, and there's. I mean, I could name a million guys. I mean, you know them all. We play with them all the time. That's why these festivals like Vine and Deutschtown and the Millville one that they just had. That's why you can have such awesome lineups. It's because these people are taking it serious now. And it's because the venues are taking it serious. They're putting it. It's like it goes back and forth. The venues take it serious. You want to put on a great show because you have these awesome lights now. Like it makes you feel better as a musician for sure.
Well, these, even you mentioned Millville and the music festival, and even there, a lot of the venues now are starting to invest more in the scene here in Millville. I know Bar 3's been having bands every week, and I know the Double L's working on getting their own in-house PA system and things like that. So it really has kind of, I think, opened some people's eyes to what they can do by working with the music scene.
Right, and I think what sometimes I think what people forget is, so Clarence's old man is a musician, and so is my dad, and a lot of times what they said about, like, in the 70s as far as nightlife and stuff, a lot of bars had bands. Now, whether they were playing mostly cover songs and stuff, that was probably true, but that was live music was a thing, like, that, like, bars had them, like, from what you talk to in the Pittsburgh area, people will say from, like, Thursday to Sunday night, people had some type of live entertainment. You kind of almost had to have it or else people wouldn't really want to come out or whatever. There wasn't, like, now you don't have, like, the things to compete with, like karaoke and trivia and all the other ways that people are trying to draw people into a bar. But I think, that's something that to mention because people might forget that it was maybe like that one time, and we might not be that far from it being like that again.
No, I mean, in certain spots it's still like that. But Pittsburgh, I feel like, is getting back to that because now you think about it, just about every night of the week. If you want to hear some live music, you're going to be able to hear something quality in this city any night of the week. And that's something big to be said about Pittsburgh, especially because it's not exactly like a huge city. We're not New York. we're not that big of a place. So to have this concentration of musicians all across the board. I mean, I spend a lot of my time in the jazz world and gospel and funk, and those cats, they're world class, literally traveling around the world from Pittsburgh, and they're here, at James Street on Tuesday, or, on Thursday night, just sitting and playing, a jam session or whatever. You get to hear that kind of stuff here, and I've been in this city just about all my life, and it hasn't always been this eclectic, and there hasn't always been this much music going on. It's kind of hard to figure out what you want to do on a Friday or Saturday night now.
It's difficult,
And Facebook lets you know that that's all going on.
Well, that's the thing. I get like so many notifications, and I'll look at my events, and I'll see like 5 or 6 events on the same day.
I came out the other day. It was a couple Saturdays ago. I came out here to the sculpture event that was down by the river, and then I stopped by here. I'm a fan of this Pittsburgh singer named Emily Rogers. She had a show in the basement here. And then
the River's Edge party for 10,000 Maniacs.
Right. And then we went over to Panza.
After party.
So like people were like, we had the best time, right? My girlfriend and I, we had the best time, and people were like, "What'd you do last night?" And I was like, "Well, we went out to Millville," and people were like, "You went to Millville?" No kidding. Like I'm not saying that. And I'm like, "Yeah, that's but that's what can happen now."
Yeah.
It's the same thing. I'm from Dormont, and it's a similar thing. People are like, "You're going to Dormont to hang out," but like things are kind of happening in these communities, and we're able to let people know, and turning out all right.
We're here with TJ and Clarence on the River's Edge Radio Network from Chrome Moses. Given the level of musicianship in Pittsburgh and looking at the River's Edge, the ratings that are going through the roof, do you think that this is kind of a sign that local music can make it and you can focus on local music and be successful?
Oh, hell yeah.
Well,
you can focus on it, Don't get it wrong. Like, you're not going to just like all of a sudden tomorrow be like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna be a local musician, no matter how
Sure.
good you are.
Well, not that necessarily,
You know, like-
but from a listener's perspective, knowing that it's out there, not so much that like
Oh,
anybody
yeah.
can become a musician, because obviously there's a
Yeah.
certain level of dedication.
Yeah, and
But I'm
certain
talking
level
about
of
is of the
not having
listener.
money.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true too.
yeah.
But from the listener being able to realize that it's out there, and maybe they can, I don't know, like be more open-minded to experiencing different types of music
I
and
always
taking
yeah,
a shot on a local band versus just going to, you know.
Exactly, like, because that's hard to get. I mean, like, as a band that travels out of town,
Mm-hmm.
it's really hard to get local people. I mean, local is just wherever you're at. You know?
Yeah,
so
sure.
when we go to Dayton or we go to, wherever we go, that local crowd, getting them to buy in, and that's why venues are very important. And that's why venues booking quality acts is very important, because when the local people know that venue has quality acts, they're more willing to hop on board and give you guys a shot. If you're not, some cover band that's going to play Ultimate 90s or something like that. And I think right now in Pittsburgh, that's happening again because the venues are stepping up. Everybody's stepping their game up. The musicians are stepping their game up. There's more of them around. There's a younger generation that's doing really cool things. So I would always encourage people I mean, it's right there. You have Facebook, you have Twitter, you have Instagram, Spotify. I don't know how many local Pittsburgh Spotify playlists there are, but there's enough of them to fill your workday easy, and you're going to hear some really good shit. Really good shit,
Yeah, there's just so much that's good that's out there, and I know you guys have some good stuff coming up as well. So we definitely want to touch base on that. You're going to be at the Brewfest, which is going to be on the 12th, August 12th, and that's going to be awesome. I don't know if you guys have been to that before, but basically, people, they go out and they buy a ticket, they get a little glass, and they can just go around and drink until their heart is content.
Nice. Sounds good.
Yeah.
It's a good time. All
Like
great
that
local
setup.
brews.
Yeah.
They also have some brews that kind of tour in as well, but it's
Yeah.
all craft brews that are there at this
That's
event.
cool.
So it's a lot of fun. That's 1 to 8. And then you guys have a show which is coming up on the 5th, and you're playing with Working Breed, and it was kind of an interesting thing because they're also going to be performing at the Brewfest
Yeah.
in the first
Yeah.
session.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we actually we used to share. I think they might have gotten a new space, but for a long time we shared a rehearsal studio space with Working Breed over in Dormont. It's actually really close to the hall that we're renting for the party on the 5th.
nice.
So it was nice we were able to book them there, and it was a crazy coincidence that they're also on the Brewfest thing. But
Oh, so that was a coincidence? I was wondering how that. I was
No,
like,
it's just a total coincidence.
Wow.
But I was telling Sarah, they are a great act to book on that type of event. They're an awesome band. And they're a really cool act to book. Like I don't know, they're just really great.
Yeah. Eric is great.
Yeah, they're good people and like really cool party band. They have fun.
Well, you'll have to check out our intro video for the announcement. So we had a big announcement here. We had Liz Berlin and Mike Speranza, who own Mr. Smalls. They came up here and we did this announcement that we were moving in. And we kind of, I wanted to make it a big deal. I didn't want to just roll into it. So we did a little video we recorded beforehand where we took shots of the theater and things like that. And we actually had them perform in this space I guess it's to your left, my right, where we have, it's going to be eventually a live band performance space. But Erica of the Working Breed, she is starting a podcast that is affiliated with the River's Edge.
Oh, nice.
Right.
Called The Petticoat Rule. Yeah.
Go ahead.
And she was in.
What's it gonna be about?
It's gonna be about like women and like women's like issues in the scene and
Okay.
stuff like that. Here
I
in
couldn't think of a better chick to do that.
Yeah, it's gonna be very cool. But she was actually recording an interview with Molly Alphabet inside the old space when it
Yeah.
caught on fire.
I wanted to ask you
so
guys
she's
about
the
that.
one.
Yeah.
She told us.
So-
She told us about this. She
Yeah,
told us
so-
about
Because
this.
we saw her like the day after
At
the rehearsal
rehearsal.
space.
Yeah.
We saw her like the day after.
Oh.
She
So
was telling
Erica's
us
the
about
one
that.
that called 911 about the old space catching on
Yeah.
fire. So that's why we really wanted them in that video. Because she was the last one in Millville Studios, so
Yeah.
then here she was the first band to
Yeah.
perform in that space.
Wow.
Before, I mean, it's not all hooked up yet, but yeah, so it was really cool.
I wanted to say, I mean, like, I'm glad that, like, because when he told us that, like, you wanted to have us on, I was like, oh, they're up and running again. I was like, that's great. I was like worried.
Oh, yeah, no, we-
like,
Brian never missed a beat.
Yeah, honestly, we didn't miss a show. We broadcasted the next day out of a
well,
cafe.
that.
So,
That's awesome, man.
but,
Yeah.
no, yeah, I didn't want to miss
So
anything.
Erica and Molly setting the room on fire.
Yeah. And here we are, Mr. Smalls. No, but I'm real excited. So this show, tell me a little bit about the show on the 5th.
Yeah, so like you guys, like we were talking about being an independent outfit. That's kind of how we operate as a band. We don't really work with Pittsburgh promoters too much.
Not saying that we won't.
Right,
Sure.
but we just don't. It's not something we don't
just
really.
don't,
It's
yeah.
not really something we find ourselves doing that much. We don't have any management or label, so everything we do we handle ourselves.
Yep.
So a couple times a year we throw our own party at a hall, like just like a fire hall in Dormont, where we're from, just like right outside the city. We run our own sound. We feature one band as the opener. And we have like a show that's more like, we try to make it more like the hours of a concert. So if you're a bar band, you have to play till like 1 or 1:30 in the morning, which we do sometimes, but we don't really always like to do that. So we have the show. It's $10 to get in over at the hall. It's a good time. People seem to like it. They keep getting more and more popular. At first, it seems like maybe you have to convince people to do something non-traditional, to go to a show at a place that they haven't been to before. They've never seen a show before, so they're a little hesitant. But it's a club. So the drinks are very cheap, and it's just a real simple like rock and roll party, like renting a hall and having the party ourselves.
Yeah.
And it helps us out because it's a good way that we, keep our budget going.
Yeah.
We have like, the regular cost that a band has, gasoline on the road and things like
Oh,
that,
yeah.
Hotels
and the rehearsal
merchandise
space.
and
And the
rehearsal
most important thing, what we try to do is we try to every couple years have a decent amount of money
Yeah.
to go into making a record.
Mm-hmm.
We've run into this really fortunate situation with a friend of ours over in Dormont, who was able to purchase some really cool analog gear as he was getting out of sound engineering training. And he has it over in Dormont. His name's Matty Vaughn. He's got a place called Hollywood Studios of Dormont. If you if you guys, especially if people are really into like an analog type of feel, they should definitely check him out over there on West Liberty Avenue. He's got some very, very cool, very interesting gear. So it's kind of a dream setup that where we rehearse, where we live, where we grew up, there's this awesome gear. I mean, really world-class stuff. So we've made our last record totally on that. For the first time, we worked with Maddie, and we're really, really happy with it. That record's called Mother Volt. It's actually an EP, but we tracked those songs on tape with Maddie, and we can't wait to do it again. But the truth of it is, when you make records like that, you're going to have to get a little bit of a budget together before you do that.
Yeah.
And this party helps us do that. These type of parties, it really does help us a lot more
And
than
it's
some other things.
challenging when you're local and independent as far as that goes, because I know we've really had a big sponsorship push this summer, and we got some sponsors for the network,
That's great.
but we're not making any money. We got these sponsors, but.
Yeah.
We got to become an LLC. So basically, every dollar of sponsorship money that we've earned this summer isn't even going towards the rent or
Oh, yeah.
even
Right.
Yeah,
updating
it
the
just-
gear. It's all going straight to
The
legal
money just
fees.
gets
to-
recycled. Like,
Yeah.
it just gets recycled. It hits the, you bring in the money for merch, and it goes right back into merch. It's just like, it's the struggle. But eventually, what the goal is to have more of that coming in than you have going out. And then it's just like any business, anything you want to get off the ground. It's gonna take some time, money, and effort, to make it happen. And and luckily we enjoy what we're doing.
Yeah,
At
makes
the
it
end of the
easier
day,
then.
we really love this. We wouldn't do it if we didn't love it. I
Right.
mean, there's a lot of other things we can do to make a lot more money, but we do this because we love making music. We love seeing people entertained and seeing people have a good time. To be able to get away, like. We're fortunate that we're musicians and we can play music. Not everybody can do that. Not everybody has their own way of entertaining themselves. They have to go out and be entertained, be a movie, comedy show, whatever, or hopefully a concert, So it's fun to be able to do that for 2 hours for people, and like it's not always like the biggest profit, but if we can make another record to make people dance more later on down the road, then it's all worth it at the end of the day,
Definitely. So we've got. No, I agree completely. That's investing more into this space. The same thing. It's like you can provide a better product. We can maybe eventually figure out the lighting so
Yeah.
Michael doesn't disappear.
Yeah, should I not have worn a green shirt?
You're fine because
Okay.
there's no green screen behind you.
Okay.
So yeah,
All
so
right,
you're
cool.
cool.
All right.
So it's just it's this end here.
All right.
So, but yeah, so we've got August 5th. That's 8 p.m. at the Fire Hall in Dormont,
Yeah.
correct? And then also we have the 12th at the Brewfest, and that starts at the first session starts at 1 p.m. And you guys are in the second session, which
Yep.
runs all the way till 8 p.m. So you can get your tickets at ShowClicks. You can also, I'm sure, find that at the borough's website. as well. So, what do you guys? Anything else you guys have coming up that you want people to know about?
You can catch us for a nice evening set at the Regatta. We just booked that not too far out, not too long ago, but we'll be at the Regatta playing for about an hour and 20 on Sunday night. It's just an outdoor show right there on the main stage. That should be pretty cool. And other than that, we're probably we have this party coming up on the 5th, and it'd be cool to check that out or give it a share on Facebook or whatever. Tell your friends about it. It's a real cool deal. Doors are at 8. Working Breed will go on at 9, and then we go on a little after 10. Show's over by midnight. It's like like a real concert would be. We try to keep it, like you're saying, be more professional. We try to throw these shows like a real concert. We don't usually try to have 4 bands changing gear in and out. We try to really keep it, going as we can. And I think you see lots of bands doing that and stuff now, So.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have that on the 5th. And then after that, probably just look out for some stuff we have coming up in the fall. We may start working on a new video. I think that's what's going to happen. And we'll probably have a fall show announcement sometime in early September.
Nice. Michael, what do you have coming up?
Let's see here. I'm going to be at Steel City Improv Theater at 9:30 on Friday. Then on Tuesday the 8th, you can catch me over at Brillo Box for the 10-year anniversary of Brillo Box Comedy, being hosted by Gab Benesso and Mario Fusca. And then the same folks who do the Art House mic, where you and I met, Brian, are doing the soft opening for Plate and Bowl, which is going to be a restaurant/venue in East Liberty now.
That'll be cool.
And that's on the 11th. Oh, and Arcade Comedy Theater on the 10th for the Pittsburgh Comedy Festival competition.
Awesome. So check all that stuff out. I will be, what is today? Monday. Yeah, I know. I've got my days all mixed up. So let's see. I don't really have much coming up myself. I'll be at the Brewfest. I'll be there with you guys. So you can check me out there. Also this Saturday, I'll be back here in studio with Jay Cooper and Howie D. Mack. This is No Enemies. We're going to close that out from Crow Moses. So you guys should check them out again. The 5th and the 12th. You can check them out on Facebook and everything else for more information. Broadcasting from Mr. Small's Theater, I'm Brian Crawford. You're listening to the Rivers Edge Radio Network, Pittsburgh's voice for local music. We've got local music up next.